Planes, Trains, and Automobiles came out in 1987 and is directed by John Hughes and stars Steve Martin and John Candy, and I'm very excited to give you guys my review for this movie. If you've seen it, be sure to leave a comment of what you thought about it. As well, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Now let's get into this review. In this movie, Neil, played by Steve Martin, is trying to get home to spend Thanksgiving with his family. Unfortunately, all his plans for getting home get interrupted due to a snowstorm, and his only companion for getting home is a traveling shower curtain ring salesman played by John Candy. Now, I got to watch this for the first time yesterday. I had seen a good chunk of it before back in high school, but never got to see the whole thing and never got around to watching the whole thing in one go, so got to do that last night, and I really enjoyed this movie. I've usually enjoyed all of John Hughes's work, Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, movies like that I've really enjoyed, so I was expecting to enjoy this one, and I really did. I thought it was a lot of fun, very funny. It was a fun buddy road trip movie. We got two characters, Neil played by Steve Martin and Del played by John Candy, that are very different, but they work very well together, and those two actors I thought had really good chemistry together as well. And both actors were really funny in this movie. John Candy could be hilarious at times. I think my favorite sequence in this whole movie was the scene where they're driving in a rental car at night, and John Candy's trying to take off his jacket, gets his arms cut, and can't drive the steering wheel, and just a lot of funny stuff happen. Eventually they end up driving down the wrong way on the highway, and it was just really funny. That whole sequence I thought was hilarious, probably my favorite of the whole thing. Also, there's another scene that was hilarious, was Steve Martin, where his character's just lost it, and it's just, he's just constantly just dropping F-bomb after F-bomb, and I think that's how this movie got its R rating, because other than that scene, it probably could have been like a PG-13, but I think that scene's what gave it its R rating, and it was really funny. One thing that I really liked about this movie too is, while it's really funny, it can be kind of heartwarming at times, and throughout the movie it gives time for each of the characters to sort of develop, so the audience has time to sort of understand the characters and feel for them. Like at the start, the two leads are like constantly butting heads because they're just very different, and it definitely worked for the movie, and it was done very well, because there were several times when those two leads would seem like they're going their own ways in this movie. Like, okay, they don't need to keep going together, so they separate, and then they're brought back together due to the situations in the movie, and you're always happy when they get back together, like you know it's going to happen because the movie's not ending. But those characters work very well, even though they're very different, and you can understand the character. Especially, I found a lot of the heart came from John Candy's character. There's a scene in the motel where Steve Martin's character just had enough, and you can understand why he's had enough, but he's going off, and it was some nice dialogue between the two of them at times. And at the end of the movie, I thought it was a very heartwarming ending, and you sort of, for me, I could really feel for John Candy's character. You sort of understand maybe a bit more why he's the way he is, although I guess the movie sort of suggests he was already like this. But like you understand by the end of the movie that he's probably a fairly lonely guy. But yeah, I think they play off it very well. They got good comedy in this movie, and it's heartwarming, which is great. I think for me, the biggest issue I have was just at the start, it just took a little while for me to sort of, I guess, be on board with what was going on, because sort of like one of the introductions with John Candy's character, when they're finally on the plane, the humor that was going on there, where he started explaining how he doesn't like people who don't know when to shut up, and the joke is he should be shutting up but keeps talking. That at the start was sort of like, yeah, okay, kind of annoying for me at the start, but after that, even on the plane later on, it started to get better. Like when they're flying at night, and he had that funny comment about them not landing in Chicago. It worked, and yeah, after that the movie just for me, consistently just got better as it went along, and it was really funny. This is a kind of movie that I don't feel like it's made, at least this type of comedic movie doesn't get made very much now. I don't know, I don't watch a ton of comedy movies because I find they're not usually that good in my opinion, but this one was great. I had a lot of fun with it. It's heartwarming. The characters are fairly likable in this, even the ones who at times are like, okay, maybe a bit grumpy, but you can understand. So I think that's what made this movie great for me, is it's not only funny and heartwarming, but it had likable characters and you can understand why they are the way they are, which comedies don't always focus on. They'll just focus on bringing the laughs, which this movie certainly does, but I felt like it did more than just that, which is something I really appreciate about this movie. So for me, I had a great time with this movie. I'm going to give Planes, Trains, and Automobiles an 87%. So those are my overall thoughts on this movie. If you guys have seen it, be sure to let me know what you thought about it as well. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for more reviews coming soon. And until my next video, take care everybody.